You're listening to Puma Podcast.
She's got black hair
Right.
or she's got brown skin, right? In the olden days, you wouldn't. I don't have social media. You wouldn't know what my gender is. We're just
Correct.
talking by email. Yeah, for sure. This is Pat. You've got like the credentials lined up. All of the proposals are amazing. Impeccable, right? But we
Mm-mm.
come on a video chat and it's like, oh, where are you
Ah,
from? You're
yeah.
so pretty. Where are you from?
I had a lot of questions heading into the interview with today's guest. For one, what exactly is Hinabi Privé? Hinabi Weave? Privé Private? Is it a dinner event? Is it a music act? Is it a cultural advocacy brand? The answer apparently is yes to all of the above. There's Filipino food. There are cocktails, carefully paired ones. There's live original music, songs written about Maria Makiling and Filipino identity. And in the same room, you might find a microplastics researcher sitting next to a call center agent, sitting next to a politician. This is Thought Bubbles and Teka Teka, and welcome to our Women's Month series. Our guest today is Pat Villaceran, the founder of Hinabi Privé. She is a macroeconomist, a mentor to founders, a lyricist, and a mom of three. Yes, it turns out Hinabi really is meant to denote reading. And Pat's pitch is that this brand weaves all those things together: food, cocktails, music, and Filipino heritage storytelling into one experience.
I'm Pat Villaceran. I'm the founder of Hinabi Privé. I do have a nutrition wellness brand in the Philippines. And
Mm-hmm.
one of my a good friend of mine, the co-creator for Hinabi Privé, James Harris, he runs this cocktail events company in the UK. And it's like we just got thinking one day of like what if we could bring in the food that we're making for this local brand that I do have and then make that into an experience, holistic experience. And then he started helping out with the cocktails aspect of it because cocktails is an amazing art and science of it because like we if you've done chemistry before, it's like the oil and water and the
Right.
insanity of like how that's done in and as a someone who cooks that just sparks your creativity. And so
Mm-hmm.
when we the concept, it was just that at the very beginning to just have a very cool and safe space for people to authentically hang out because like I feel like especially not only in the Philippines but all over the world wherein there's a lot of negativity already out
Mm-hmm.
there. And we just
Right.
wanted to curate a space where everyone just, is comfortable. Everyone
Mm-mm.
is just sat in as a human being, just like right now, we're talking right now without any kind of pretenses, any kind of like, what's your political, where are you in this spectrum? Before I judge you, we are humans first. We wanted to create a space where everyone is welcome to explore everything that they have within them. If we see an accountant, right?
Mm-mm.
Usually what happens is, yeah, you're just an accountant, just be good with numbers. Anything else would be kind of number one, that's just a hobby, but just be good with numbers. This is
Mm-mm.
your one lane, pick it
Stay in
and
that
stick.
lane.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else outside of that, that's not acceptable. I can't comprehend you having multiple hobbies, right? But what we have learned, especially with my co-creator, because I'm doing multiple different ventures. I'm a macroeconomist. I do write books and I do mentor CEOs and founders. That's
Mm-mm.
modality in different aspects of the brain, different sides of intelligence, right? And especially with my
Right.
co-creator, he's a lead guitarist, a musician, amazing composer, right? And producer. So for you to, if we are just staying in our lanes, then this art wouldn't be created. Bubbles.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
This community wouldn't be created. And so Hinabi Privé, it started from just, let's make food, let's make cocktails. It's gonna be fun, right? But then it's evolved into this amazing community where everyone is welcome to explore who they are. And if you
Mm-mm.
don't mind, I want to dive into like the the Filipino heritage aspect of Hinabi as well, because one of the biggest inspiration, one of the main inspirations is Jose Rizal. He was
Mm-mm.
a multilingual person. He did poetry, he did science, he was an author, he was doing
Mm-mm.
all of these things. And he was able to be that human being without people trying to box him in into a category.
Mm-mm.
If he did not push through and through his creative kind of endeavors, he would not have built that bookend that redefines our independence as a country. And also, the other thing that we took from Rizal Bubbles was that unique aspect of positivity and light. And I would always put this on my email signature. That's how weird we
Right.
are at Tsunami. I would always say audaciously positive hats. Because, like with Rizal, if you could imagine, he grew up like 300 years, Bubbles, of being part of the Spanish colony, right? The Philippines.
Mm-mm.
But he grew up with probably five, seven different kinds of like grandparents at that point. He grew up,
Right.
right? Indios are secondary human beings here. In this
Mm-hmm.
reality, you are not even a priority. You just exist, what? To serve someone else's purpose. He grew up like that, Bubbles. But as a kid, he was bold enough to ask the question, but why? And is
That's
this
right.
really something that we deserve? Because he had
Mm-hmm.
that instinct. He's seeing the farmers in his parents' land experience this. He's seeing this, and there's a little bit of a not only internal rage, right, but this
Mm-hmm.
openness and questioning. Like, is this all that we are?
Right.
Is this all that we're meant to be? But I don't think that is the case because I can study. He was one of the most intelligent students in class. That's why he was able
Mm-hmm.
to be brought in different colleges outside of the Philippines. And then he went outside the Philippines. He was also one of the most intelligent human beings in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the beauty, Bubbles, of his approach, this is where Hinabi Privé's like character, values, and ethos lie in, right? It is he didn't go there, right? In France, multiple different countries and just accuse every single white person. Say, you're a bad guy. He was just himself and he made friends with everyone. And what happened with that, Bubbles? What happened was that all of his classmates, his professors, was started asking the question. He didn't force them to. He didn't
Mm-mm.
force. He was just genuinely a really good human being and a very amazing, warm Filipino at that. That's just our
Right.
culture, right? That's just our culture.
Yeah.
And then people started asking the question, number one, Rizal is a pretty cool guy. He's a pretty cool dude.
Mm-hmm.
Why is no one caring that his mom was imprisoned?
Mm-hmm.
That's how the quiet revolution started. And so with Hinabi, even though we do storytelling around, the critical aspects of our history. It's not focused on the pain. It's not just focused on the pain. Our songs are not just focused on the pain. Our songs are also our songs and our events, our storytelling are also focused on this open-ended question of like, hey, new age Filipino, what can we do from our space? Whether you're a teacher, whether you're a call center manager, call center agent, it doesn't matter how small, how big you think your impact is, right?
I love that you beautifully um explained the history or the beginnings of Hinabi Privé. You've gone to different countries and different places and you've absorbed and assimilated yourself in those cultures, in the various cultures and um traditions of these countries. But
Cultures and diversity,
your
yes.
yeah, but you've still chosen to root yourself in Filipino, in our Filipino roots, which makes, I mean, hinabi means weaving, and
Yes.
you have weaved through different things that our culture loves, food, and then
Yes,
now music. That's right.
exactly. Mm-hmm.
So, with this transition, how did you decide, you and your business partner, how did you decide to go from food, cocktail events? Oh, let's do music.
I also work in the innovation industry, and so my mind definitely works very different than traditional sense of it. And
Mm-hmm.
when you talk about innovation, it's always about, let me also kind of like bring that into Filipino culture. When you talk about innovation in the classy aspect of it, it's about thinking out of the box and providing solutions that is usually unheard of and adding more value to what's existing in the market. When you're a Filipino, you find ways. You freaking find ways. When there's no when there's no water, you got to pull it from somewhere else, right? When there's no
Right.
foods, you got to pull it from somewhere else. When there's no electricity, we got to figure it out, right? And we figure it out with a sense of smiles and laughter too. And so for me, it became natural, the transition in terms of like, but if we put music in it, we can write our own music. Wouldn't it be a much more enriching experience, right? That it was a very natural transition. My co-creator, he again, he's very passionate about music, and so it was a transition of like, but if you do this music and if you do this live, on the other hand, at my end, I'm such a nerd, and so I had to
Mm-hmm.
study the behavioral science of experiences, and that's why for Hinabi, it's a balance of like the arts and sciences of it. The
Mm-mm.
experience of
Mm-mm.
it, there's liminal spaces, there is magic that happens, and magic that is intentionally crafted bubbles. You go in there, it feels simple, you go in there, but the experience itself, the program itself, is studied to the point from entry to your exit point. And so for us, it was a natural transition, but that also brings us to back to that conversation of if we had just stuck to what we know is the one lane, wouldn't have formed into this award winning kind of like experience. I'm very
Mm-mm.
proud to say, again, the most innovative cultural experience in the Philippines for 2025. So it wouldn't have come about as that if we had just stuck into our lanes.
I was listening to your first album, but before that,
Thank you.
I heard you say experience, and you have described Hinabi Privé as a sixth sense experience. What does that actually
Yes.
look and feel like, and why is it
Yeah.
important to go beyond the conventional or to stay
Yes.
in your lane?
This is a new era for me learning about cocktails. And again, just absolutely fascinated with the mechanics of it. Like my co-creator, one time he gave me this recipe of the cocktail pairings that should match the food that we wanted to make, and was so as a nerd, I was so flabbergasted about the
Mm-mm.
fact that even the grams bubbles of the ice is computed,
There's a
and the
science
time,
behind it talaga.
there's a freaking science. Like I could like what?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that we would just drink it and then that's
And
it.
shake.
And so and shake the
Uh.
thing and like make it
Uh-huh.
fancy and do the dance. But no, it wasn't. And it gives
Right.
you right. That's the purpose really of Hinabi events. The more that
Mm-mm.
you are exposed to number one, different cultures, but number two, different types of people. Whether you're I've been talking about this on our socials. Whether you're a politician, a celebrity, doesn't matter. Or you're a teacher, call center agent, because like we are a massive community of call center agents in the Philippines, right? And they're amazing.
Right.
They're amazing,
Mm-hmm.
very talented people, right? We're a teacher, you're a scientist. One of our events, we even have like I think he was a researcher for microplastics, right?
Oh,
The
wow.
just the concoction of the diversity of people you meet allows you to number one be we're just I feel like we're just rebels at this point, bubbles
Mm-hmm.
to not just stay in your lane, because if you're just exposed to people in, let's just say, the music industry, what happens? Or
Mm-hmm.
if you're a teacher, you're just exposed to teachers. I just had a
Mm-mm.
conversation with a teacher in United States just an hour before this, and he told me, again, we've been kind of exposing the platform to multiple different communities, and he told me, Pat, that's a very interesting platform because again, I resonate with that because as a teacher myself, if I'm only exposed to the academia and the way old professors would
Mm-hmm.
teach, I wouldn't know what is the more effective way of teaching for the new age or for the new generation of students nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
So for Hinabi, right, if you're exposed to a different kind of problem solving, what does that do to your brain? It gives you different ways of solving a problem. And also that allows you to put yourself in a more humble position in a
Mm-hmm,
way that,
mm-hmm,
you know what, the world is not just about, it's not about me. I am a part of this world. And that's why, again, I might jump into the music here and there, bubbles. But in one
mm-mm,
of the
mm-mm,
songs, especially in the first volume of the album, it was about Ako ay naririto para sa'yo, which is I am here for you.
mm-mm.
It talks about I am part of nature and I'm part of this ecosystem and part of this community.
Back to the music because I've listened to your to volume one,
Oh, yes.
and it was really really good. I mean, I don't I rarely listen to new music as a Gen Xer because na ano yung siguro yung mas nare-retain ko na are the songs that I grew up
Yes.
with and
Yes,
mas
yes,
na-enjoy ko siya. But yeah,
yes,
the songs that you put out, and you mentioned earlier that you have integrated these songs in this first album or this first volume
yes,
during your events. Is that
yes.
correct? Is that correct?
Very
And
much so.
how was the ano? How was the response of the community that go to your events?
I was very much inspired because this is a very in-depth kind of research about Maria Makiling, and so it's very much nature
Mm-hmm.
inspired, and who I am in aspect of nature. Um, and so when I was writing the music, that was my core purpose, and I'm very much inspired around that. However, what not necessarily fills my heart with joy, absolute joy, are comments like yours, Bubbles, because once you put your art out there, you could not control how other people would react. Because that's
Respond to it.
theirs.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
theirs.
yeah. Mm-mm.
How you interpret the music is yours. How you interpret the lyrics, how that touches you is yours. And to give you one example, actually, I could give you two. One of the songs I personally wrote this. It's called Pusong Matatag. I literally wrote this for my mom. Literally, every single word was
Oh,
for her. And
nice.
but before that, because we had to do rehearsals, for events, and we had this one junior waiter in training, and he listened to the Pusong Matatag song for the first time, and it broke my heart because he actually cried, and he was like,
Mm-hmm.
Miss Pat, like I just remember my mom. I just remember my mom. And we organically launched the first album, but surprisingly we trended in three countries like Philippines, United Kingdom, and United States. And our numbers are pretty
Wow.
good. It's like an organic, like an organic launch. We even saw TikToks of I think one of the most viral TikToks of Pusong Matatag was of an OFW mom. And she was singing this song because she resonated like as a mom, I'm doing all of these sacrifice and I'm doing this for the love of
Your
of my
children,
children.
of
And
the
yes,
children.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, that's so sweet. I didn't know
Yes,
that.
yes.
That's a great story anecdote to have for one of the songs in the album that
Yes,
I
yes.
listened to. That's great. So you are on a mission to reframe Philippine heritage or Filipino heritage globally, and not
Yes.
through struggle but through strength, resilience, and hope. Where did that intentionality come from?
I have been in my work really, whether that is in my firms or the companies that I do build, because as a tiny Filipina, I've experienced this firsthand. I've been working for a long time. I don't want to say how long because that's gonna show my age, but I've been working
Mhm.
for a long time, and I've seen this. Not only as a woman, but like mm, as someone you see, right? So she's got black hair
Right.
or she's got brown skin, right? So all of the biases that you would ever have asked for, I have freaking experienced. It's still here, 2026. The bias, right? People that I would hire, these are supposed to be my staff, coming in from outside the different kinds of places all over the world. You know what? On the first meeting, they would ask me, Bubbles, oh, hi, Pat. Like, there's an oh, like, oh, hmm, hmm, where?
Really?
Yeah. I was the one doing the interview.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
was, and they would say, oh,
Wow.
where are you from?
That's so brazen.
Right? Where? With that kind of like, you know what the intention is. You know what the
Mm-mm.
intention is,
Yeah.
but that is a first person kind of like the first instinct. Actually, that's one of the reasons why I had to kind of clip my name into Pat's because if in the olden days you wouldn't, I don't have social media, you wouldn't know what my gender is. If we're just
Correct.
talking by email, yeah, for sure, this is Pat. You've got like the credentials lined up, all of the proposals are amazing, impeccable, right? But we
Mm-mm.
come on a video chat and it's like, oh, where are you
Ah,
from? They're
yeah.
so pretty. Where are you from? My staff member right now in one of my teams is coming in from Nigeria, and I told him one thing. I tell my teams this. It doesn't matter whether you're coming in from Harvard, or it doesn't matter with all of these things. But number one, are you a good person? And then number two, can you learn and grow? Because I
Mm.
believe that any skill set could be learned for as long as you have like an open mindset of like, yes, I can put in the work and I can learn. I can be
Right.
coachable, I can be teachable. And so for Hinabi, that ethos and that core value is just extended into that.
Correct. Yeah. Wow. Imagine having that kind of an experience, at your level.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
and that is
Mm-mm.
what
Mm-mm.
Hinabi Privé is for. To just the more that we get exposed, and it's like shock therapy. The more that you
Yep.
get exposed to different kinds of skin colors, and you actually learn to remove that thing. Yeah, we do have a song about this. We wrote about this.
That's great. That's great. And that's wonderful. It's a wonderful assessment on how people can change, their outlooks about certain people, whether it's a racial profiling or things like that. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I think one of the things that I also want to make mention during this interview, because right now we are living in a world obsessed with reach, virality, and I see that you champion an anti-algorithm philosophy. How do you sustain a movement built on depth and community in today's attention economy?
I there is still merit. You know, I run a marketing agency. There is still merit in strategizing about it and like thinking from a all of these aspects of marketing really and reach. And social media is a really good platform to share your story, right? There is a purpose of this. However, we do see that again, it's the way that you use the platform. And so for us, my mention around creatives here is um if you're making your own art, and I feel like there is now a formulaic approach on how artists are putting their work out there, right?
Mm-mm.
And I feel like that diminishes the initiative of other artists to put their work out there because now what's happening is now you have to do the TikTok. Now you have to look a certain way. Now you
Right.
have to dress a certain way. Now you have to do all these things, whatever generation bubbles, right? Whether you're Gen Z, Gen X, whatever that generation is, if that is our call to action to artists, we would not experience these amazing, amazing bodies of art. And so for me, that's what one of the creator labs is for. We do this at Hinabi Privé as well. But that is what we hone in terms of the community building aspect of it, in teaching them that it's not just about the formulaic aspect of marketing.
Mm-mm.
Focus on perfecting, not necessarily perfecting. We can't go there. I know artists, they're very perfectionist in essence, but it's not about understanding the landscape of social media to begin
Mm-mm.
with. Your value as an artist doesn't depend on your TikTok following. Should never be that.
Mm-mm.
To focus on the artwork itself. Focus because art creation, it's not a time-based kind of thing, Bubbles. You don't, oh, it's 8 to 5. I've
Mm-mm.
clocked in my art and that's it. No, because it is literally extracting the soul aspect of your being. And so it's
Mm-mm.
emotionally draining. It is massive vulnerability because it's part of you, right? If you write a song, it's if you write something, it is literally coming in from an essence of you, an essence of your experience, right? There's
Mm-mm.
vulnerability in it. It takes courage, Bubbles, to share that to the world, right? But if we're telling artists, whatever age that it is, right? I mean, I'm not young. So, but for me
Yeah.
to still be able to put my art out there, right? It would take courage. And that's what we want to embody and empower within our community. That the courage is not about the TikTok posting of it. The courage is about, hey, you're okay to be vulnerable. You're allowed to call yourself an artist and you're allowed to treat yourself seriously as an artist, but you have work to do.
Mm-hmm. I think I will be remiss if I don't, ask this question because we
Remiss.
are, yeah, we will be putting out this episode during Women's Month, and
Yes.
the song Bebot has
Yeah.
literally re-entered the
Re-entered the
stratosphere.
genre. Yes, I
Yeah,
love that. But yes.
re-entered the stratosphere of our pop culture. And as a
Yep.
Filipina, Maddie, Pat,
Yes.
what
Wow.
what
Fire
what
praise.
else can you share to Filipino women, Filipinas,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
um
Yes.
to let them know that there's space for them, and
Yes.
there is, if we, again, if we diversify our ways and not just stay in one lane, we will um we will gain our flowers in due time.
I have 3 daughters and I'm
Wow.
a single mom.
Mm-mm.
And so, women and creating a space for women is very, very important for me. And in my work, I have seen women hit against each other. And that breaks my heart because I feel like if we had just come together and had just like collaborated together, it's more powerful. However, our societal training, it's always about that societal training of like, oh, she's not pretty enough. This one is not.
Right.
So, what's the first instinct when somebody pretty walks in?
Mm-hmm.
Envy. That girl just spends more time doing makeup. That you have 55 reasons to hate her. So, we don't talk to this person, right?
Right.
That's an innate thing for women, not only in the Philippines, but everywhere else. But my question is, and I want to build a space for my children too, where this hate doesn't exist. If you see a
Mm-mm.
woman, girl,
Yeah,
you're
be a
pretty
girl's
today.
girl.
Women are very powerful. Our creative aspects and the way that our brains are built and wired to, in terms of multitasking, ADHD tendencies, and all these are powerful, right? Because we
Mm-mm.
are built to bring a baby in tow, right? And then do something else. It's very interesting in terms of creativity because we have the capacity to process multiple different things at once.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
That's why we're gifted with higher empathy, because then we could understand what this specific event means and what can I take out of it. And so this is actually, Bubbles, this is an amazing era, literally, for women, because then you can tap into your own internal self. And you know what? I'm good at talking to people. I could do a podcast
Mm-mm.
while working from home, right? Because technology is here. Technology is amazing. Or I could create like stickers
Right.
and I could still take care of my kids. And I could do this and I could do that. So that is my open invitation. I don't know if it's wisdom, but that is an open invitation that as a woman, you understand your capacity to be creative and double down on it,
Mm-mm.
because there's
Mm-mm.
technology right now. Nobody is stopping you from doing this.
Mm-mm.
Nobody is stopping you from doing this outside of, core belief systems, doubt within ourselves, imposter syndrome, no,
Yeah.
we're here. We're here. We can be this. And again, I'm a mom, so I'm gonna look at that from that perspective. And I'm not perfect as a parent. There are days where I'm just working and I can't be there for my kids. But
Mm-mm.
the moment that my kid comes to me and says, Mom, I like this song. I love that when you do this, and I love seeing you in this. Oh, that makes my entire year, you know?
What's next for Hinabi Privé? I believe that you've had a very great year in 2025. What's next for your group and for your organization for 2026?
2026 is, I feel like, it's an amazing, amazing year for
Mhm.
Hinabi Privé because we're going to be launching the Volume 2 album for Hinabi, and it's a massive collaborative project with my co creator, amazing genius of a musician, James Harris. Aside from making insane cocktail recipes,
Mhm.
he's impeccable as an artist too. The songs are going to be interesting because it's a mix of like pop, rock ballads, but then
Right.
as a Filipina, there's undertones around the connectedness around Filipino heritage and all of these stories. But when you hear the songs, you don't assume that they're telling a historical aspect. More events happening for
Mhm.
Hinabi, not only in the Philippines, but outside of the country. And so we want to invite everyone. Our single is coming out this March, maybe on the day that you guys are releasing this podcast, but
Wow,
hopefully everyone
yeah,
gets to
that's
listen.
serendipitous.
Yeah, so on the time,
It's
exactly on the day. Yeah.
mhm.
Wow.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Yeah.
And with that, thank you so much, Pat, for taking the time to talk to us about Hinabi
Yeah.
Privé and all that you've been doing. Again, from a Filipina to a Filipina body. Thank you very much for gracing us with your presence and with your knowledge. And I hope we can talk to you again soon. And that was Pat Villaceran of Hinabi Privé. I'll be honest. Going into this interview, I wasn't sure what to make of Hinabi Privé. The concept is big, the language around it can get lofty, and it's easy to be skeptical of anything that calls itself a cultural movement before it's had time to prove it. But then, Pat talked about the waiter in training who cried during rehearsal because a song reminded him of his mom. And I thought, okay, something real is happening here. What I've come to believe is that she is genuinely trying to build something meaningful. And she is doing it as a Filipina CEO, a single mom, a macroeconomist, and now a lyricist all at once. That part doesn't need a bigger claim to be impressive. If you're curious, their Origin Arc events are coming to Manila, the United Kingdom, and New York this year. Volume 2 of the album is also on the way. If you want to start somewhere, listen to Pusong Matatag. See how that lands for you. Many thanks to Pat Villaceran for gracing us with her insights for the episode. Jem Bunao is our audio engineer. Our producer is Trisha Aquino. If this episode connected with you, feel free to share it with your family and friends. And hey, we might see each other at the Hinabi Privé event soon. You can find me on Instagram and Threads at Bubbles Matayo and on TikTok at Bruha23. That's BREWHUH23. Thank you for listening, and until the next Thought Bubbles.